Welcome back to the channel, and I am joined by Cage Warriors lightweight title contender George Hardwick ahead of his big fight next Friday against Kyle Driscoll in the main event of Cage Warriors 141 on Friday, July 22nd. George, thanks for taking the time this evening to speak to me, and how are you feeling now that we're 7 days out from the fight?
I'm feeling really good, feeling fresh. Got myself a peppermint tea. Just chilling after another good day of training. I've got one more hard session of fight camp left, and that's tomorrow morning. It's going to be a proper grafty session. Not a really long session, but a hard session. And then next week, it's just like flowing, keeping loose, and getting the weight on track.
Yeah, so all the vast majority of the hard work is already done at this point.
Yeah, but tomorrow's going to be grueling.
Yeah, would that be sparring or conditioning or what?
So it's kind of like a fight simulation type thing. We call it position pads. We need a better name for it. So we get a few fresh lads in, and I'll go from like a grappling position that's kind of specific to what the opponent is going to do. You know, he's from AKA. So one example is I might have a minute and 15 or a minute and a half to escape from the wrist ride as many times as possible. And I've just got to graft and explode and work and escape as many times as possible. If I'm not out by the end of that minute and a half, I've just got to keep working. And then as soon as that's finished, I get onto the pads, blast that a minute and a half, then back into a bad grappling spot or whatever, and then back on the pads. And that's a round. I'll do it for 5 because it's a title fight.
So they'll put you through your paces anyway there.
Yeah, it's getting used to that grappling, scrambling, hustling, just non-stop movement, and then being able to blast pads with power, even after all that grappling.
And is that, would you usually have a session like that just beforehand, or is it more specific to Kyle Driscoll? Obviously, you're facing a guy who kind of comes from an American wrestling background.
Yeah, we tend to do this a bit more when we're fighting a wrestler, because you can I do plenty of open sparring, but sometimes it's not the same. You can end up in a kickboxing match in your sparring session when really someone's going to try and grab onto you if they're that kind of wrestler. Another thing as well is I wouldn't want to spar 7 days out. And it's not even 7 days out, 6 days out tomorrow, and get like black eyes and shin clashes and knee clashes and all these bruises. But I still want that hard mental push. I don't want to leave it too long before the fight to get that hard graft and that hard mental push. So with these position and pads, we're not throwing kicks at each other, and we're not taking like digs to the face. There's no chance of any freak injuries, really.
George, it feels like I was kind of saying to you just before we started recording there, you've kind of been the guy the last 6 months, 8 months. You've been the guy kind of that's been primed and ready to fill that slot of fighting for a title. It seems like every time the title fight comes up, obviously you were booked with Mehdi Ben Lakhdar in December. It fell out. Then it was Danilo Eduardo. It fell out. You managed to get a replacement opponent, but obviously not for the title. Does it feel real now that we're 7 days out, or are you able to kind of let yourself get excited for the fact that you will be getting to be to fight for the Cage Warriors title in a week's time?
I mean, it feels different in terms of like more of the attention, getting tagged in more posts, more asked for interviews and stuff. But it's been a long time coming. So as I was saying, I think it was December 13th, I was matched for the Mehdi. And it was like 6 weeks before that, I got the message, do you want to fight Mehdi for the title? It was the same night that all the UK lads fought in Vegas, like Paddy Pimblett fought, Vendramini, Meatball Molly fought. It was that same night. I remember Paddy was walking out and I got the message to fight Mehdi. So it's been like the best part of 8 months preparing for this title. I had the fight in between with Capera because I couldn't find a title-worthy challenger. And I wasn't just going to sit in my ass. I'd already done 2 camps. Fuck it, I'm going to fight him. So I'm bounced off of that into a 3rd camp. But there's not this drain. There's not this wane of like, oh my God, I've been training so hard, so long. I love doing it, and I'd train another fucking year for it. I don't care. I'd train more and more and more and just fight constantly.
Do you feel like in a way that, having that Capera fight that wasn't for the title has almost kind of put a few extra eyeballs on you? You went out and put on a great performance there. You're going in here in the main event of not only Cage Warriors 141, but it's also the 20th anniversary that, it come this weekend. So does that kind of, do you almost feel like it's almost a blessing in disguise where it feels like it's a bigger deal now?
Yeah, I think I got a good few highlight clips from that fight. And it's just kept me in the rhythm of fighting. If I hadn't fought Capera, it would have been way back in October against Donnell. Would have been my last fight, which is quite a while. It's quite a while not to go through the weight cut, not to go through the whole fighting process. As well, I got the chance to fight in the Indigo last time, which is always a little something when you get used to the venue. So
Yeah.
it's gonna play in my favor, taking that fight.
Yeah, you're on a fantastic streak, obviously a streak, 5-fight win streak at the moment. That you fought for Cage Wars before was the decision loss to Flaminis, and then you went away. You picked up a good few wins in Bellator, and then back to Cage Wars. But I feel like since you've been back on Cage Wars, you've been just putting on electric performances. Back to back finishes, 3 in a row. What has been like? What has clicked, or what is the key, I guess, to this current run of form?
I think it was the Flaminis fight, because I've said before, when I got back into MMA, I had my amateur career. I had a bit of a break, got back into MMA. When I had my first 4 or 5 fights up until the Flaminis fight, it was just something I was doing for the competition of it. Whereas that Flaminis fight, I lost that fight, a hard 3 rounds, took a bit of a beating. But 9 a.m. on Monday morning, I knew what I had to work on, so I went and worked on it. And I was just thinking, if I could take a fight like that, have a fight experience like that, and I'm immediately back to work, and it's all I'm thinking about, this is what I have to do with my life.
Did you feel like it was like an extra motivation that you noticed, or?
Yeah. And it's always a source of fire now. And in terms of just getting the finishes, just the finish high up the priorities now. There's a lot of times where in these past 2 fights, there's been instances where I've had side control, really good, strong control positions, and just felt like I couldn't do damage from them, so I just let them up. There's more of this priority on the finish.
Do you feel there's more of a killer instinct by the sounds of things?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's just taking that time, that experience, to realize I don't have to hold that position quite as tight. I can let it go and hit them.
Coming in, obviously Joe McColgan was the previous champion. You're fighting for the vacant title. Would you prefer to be fighting, a champion in Joe McColgan, or does it matter to you kind of who you're going in here against, that the fact that the title is vacant?
See, when I was thinking who would be the title guy, the picture really was like McColgan, Figlak, Mehdi. I was expecting one of these 3, so Kyle was really out of the blue. And in a way, I'm more excited for Kyle, even though his style is probably less exciting. I think Mehdi, Figlak, McColgan, their finishes, their throw hard shots, they have more exciting fights from a fan-friendly visual perspective. It's more exciting, this fight with Kyle, because of the team he trains at, because he's coming from America. There's more questions there, and I like questions, and I like seeing what happens.
Is it the team that excites you? So you're saying that you're more excited to face a guy like this?
Yeah, with these degrees of separation from Khabib and this level of fighter. Well, I get to see where I am.
Yeah, it seems that, I've heard you speak before about, the lineage of the title and the lineage within your gym, your coach having held a Cage Warriors title back in, I think it was 2004 or something like this.
Yeah.
And then additionally, obviously you mentioned there, Kyle comes from AKA, where just last week or 2 weeks ago, Khabib and DC were getting inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame. Is it kind of that lineage and, the tradition, I guess, within mixed martial arts that excites you?
Yeah, it's seeing that kind of, because I always think people can overrate a big gym. They go to a big gym and they assume just by being there, they're going to be better. Whereas a good example is Demetrius Johnson in his whole title run. He said he didn't have any other professional fighters he trained with apart from Bibiano Fernandez. He didn't bring anyone in. He didn't bring out, like, he didn't travel loads to train, but he whooped everyone from all the best teams. I think it's always a very interesting mix between like the smaller gym versus the big, globally known gym. And I don't think always like the big, globally known gym is better in every situation.
Yeah. In preparation for this interview, do you know what it is? I Googled George Hardwick, Middlesbrough, right? And what came up out of nowhere was an English footballer from the 1920s, I think it was, who basically captained England, was like the captain post World War II. And it was George Hardwick from Middlesbrough. Are you aware of this guy?
Oh, yeah. I got the book somewhere, Gentleman George.
And is there a relation or no?
Not that I know of, but I think because I was the third child, I thought at that point they've got to name one of, they had three, like parents have three boys, they've got to name one of them after George Hardwick. You know, he's got his statue outside the riverside.
Okay,
but
yeah, it's pretty cool though to see.
My goal is to keep getting wins until I'm the first Google result.
That's when you know you've made it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously you train and well, not just train, you've a very, very close relationship with your brother Harry. I've heard you describe him as, you know, the most important human on the planet to you. Just how special is that relationship, and have you always been that close, kind of growing up together and also training together?
Yeah, well, it's always been that close. He's always been like the second person there in any situation. And then with training and fighting, it's just, it like gets that deeper and deeper and deeper, that connection. Like it's very hard to put into words. To have someone there who's always your second. You know, I can't really describe it that well.
Yeah, just a special bond.
Yeah. He's downstairs having a palmo now, I think. I just heard him come in.
Right. This is gonna be a stupid question now. I've heard this parmo thing for the last 2 years, 3 years now. What is a parmo?
So a parmo is chicken flattened out, kind of tenderized, covered in breadcrumbs, then it's fried. Once it's fried, it's covered in bechamel sauce, covered in cheese.
What's bechamel sauce?
You know, like the sauce in like a lasagna, white sauce, kind of like cream, flour, all that nice stuff. Covered in cheese. Then it's like baked a bit and put under the grill. So all the cheese is like bubbling. And then you have it with garlic sauce. A lot of the time you get a hot shot parmo, which has jalapenos and pepperoni in the cheese, mushrooms, peppers, all that stuff. Best regional dish known to man.
And this is Middlesbrough?
Yeah.
And so are we talking breakfast, lunch, dinner, which is when is best for a parmo?
Oh, it's normally a dinner. I think if you have it for breakfast or lunch, you're going to be wiped out for the day.
Okay. So what's the breakfast or lunch Middlesbrough dish?
Oh, it depends who you ask. A lot of people, it's probably just fucking a few cans of John Smith, depending where you are. If you're in Doggy, but, yeah, the parmo is the regional dish, best regional dish.
Yeah, and look, I saw you've been doing a good bit of training down in Next Gen for this fight as well. How much have you been doing with the guys down there?
I only got one trip out.
Okay.
You know, I really wanted to get some wrestle with Chase and Blair, but it didn't work out just schedule wise when I went to train there last Friday. But it was really good. I got loads of drills in, got loads of rolls in. There's a lot of stuff I've taken immediately off of how they drill. They drill in a really good, specific way where it relates to the context of the fight. There's an intensity to it. There's a lot of really good stuff that I'm going to take from their drilling style.
Have you been down there previous to this camp or no?
I've been a couple times before, yeah, to like spar, jump in there, pro sessions, roll. Yeah, I really like the gym. I need to get over more.
Yeah, because it seems like I feel like I've seen a lot of yourself and Paddy, and you know, I think you're kind of kindred spirits in some ways with your love of food, probably as well. You know, do you have a close relationship with Paddy, or is that a recent thing?
I'm trying to think how far back we went and trained with him. Well, yeah, we get on. I think Middlesbrough and Scouse just get on well, to be honest.
Why do you think that is?
Just pretty similar, down to earth people.
It does seem like it really does come across that the likes of, say, Paddy, yourself, your brother Harry, you come across very down to earth. And it's somewhat rare in a way in the fight game, I feel like, these days. Like, do you notice that?
Yeah, I've heard of some people who are just very like turned out fights. They're very odd. Just kind of like maybe they get one thing good happen to them and then they're deluded about it. I can't stay deluded because, again, a big thing with me is I've got Harry. He's always going to knock me down a peg if I act like a fucking div. We're always going to be honest with each other.
And, come fight week when you're in the hotel, like, the nerves creep up on you because, again, you come across very, kind of zen, calm. The same with your brother, whether either of you are fighting, you're kind of just kind of cracking jokes or talking about food a lot of the time. So do you get nervous in these situations or no?
Yeah, definitely nerves happen. But one of the main things to do is just to not actually try and fight them. It's like if you try and fight them, they become bigger than they are. Whereas you kind of just got to let them go through you because they help a lot of the time at the end of the day.
Yeah, and then a massive fight week, not only in Cage Warriors but also with UFC London the next night. Paddy, as we were just talking about there, is a big fight against Jordan Levitt. How do you see that fight going?
To be honest, I haven't seen many fights of Jordan Levitt, but I think Paddy's going to mash him first round again. Like I just know Levitt's a bit of a funky grappler and awkward on the feet, but not like monumentally dangerous. That's all I'm really aware of him. I'm kind of weird with watching fights. I can spend ages watching wushu matches of people I've never heard of, but then I fail to keep up to date with other stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't really know a lot about his opponent, but yeah, Paddy will mash him.
Are you gonna get to the fights or no?
I don't know. I've not got tickets. I never make any plans for after a fight.
Yeah.
It's a sure fight. Like making plans for after a fight, it's a surefire way for something to happen in the fight. That means you can't attend those plans.
Fair. But if you win, if you get that belt wrapped around your waist, I feel like you should be calling on the mic, calling for a few cage side tickets.
Yeah, see what happens. But again, it's almost like nothing exists in my head until the fight's happened.
Yeah. Actually, now to think about when just thinking about your post fight, what was the concept, or why did you say get that man a pizza?
Oh yeah, because it was the day before, weighed in. I had my proper rehydration. I had my proper nutrition, my pastas and what have you that are, the proper stuff. And I just got a side of pizza, just a little pizza, just because I like the taste after the wins. Yeah, it's not like perfect nutrition, but it's good for you mentally, I think. And then Dean Truman and his lads walked past in the hotel because it was heavily like quarantined there. We had to stick in our own areas. And then he kind of gives like a smarmy look. Oh, you're on the pizzas there, lads. With his team, and they're all kind of smirking. Like, I'm not taking this seriously because I'm having like 2 slices of pizza. And I go, do you want any slices? Like, do you want some? Offering him. I'm like, you just weighed in a few hours ago. Have some pizza. Be a happy human. But he turned it down. And I just don't like the idea of offering someone pizza and they turn it down.
So you took that personally. It's like the Michael Jordan.
Yeah. You would never like offer someone pizza in Middlesbrough and they turn it down. It doesn't work like that over here. So like, land the body shot, get this man a pizza.
Right. So note to Kyle Driscoll: don't turn down a pizza.
Yeah, he better accept any pizza. If I'm having a few slices, you better accept them.
Yeah. Do you like when you're in the hotel? Because obviously, especially during the pandemic with Cage Warriors, it was the bubble, and you're kind of stuck in the hotel with people. You're probably seeing your opponents a lot. Your close proximity. Do you like that about the fight weeks, or would you prefer to be?
Yeah. I like that. I actually find the hotel can be like a release of pressure in a way. As soon as I get the train to the host city, to the venue, wherever it is, there's almost like a release of pressure. You know, there's still the weight cut to sort, there's still nutrition to sort, but for the most part, everything's done in preparations. You know, and that's another thing, going back to nerves, is you get nervous, but then you just think, well, it's all been done in the preparation. Nothing I try and do now over the course of minutes is going to counteract tens of thousands of hours of preparation. It's all up to my preparation versus his preparation. See what happens.
Well, you know, if you get the win on Friday night, what do you think that this does for your career? Like, do you think UFC is next, or?
It'll be the biggest, by far, moment of my career. But then again, I'm not going to just put myself on the shelf and like sit around and wait for the UFC. I need to compete. You know, like some people have maybe defended the belt once, or they think they're owed some UFC opportunity. I don't get the feeling that I'm owed anything in the fight game. Some people, you know, like getting back to saying that some fighters are divas. A lot of fighters feel like they're owed the world. At no point will I ever feel like I'm owed anything, because I do this for myself and I do this for the enjoyment of fighting. So I'm not going to lose a year or two of my career by sitting back trying to negotiate with everyone, ending up in loose ends or whatever. I'm going to compete. That's what I do.
So it sounds like, obviously, and not looking too far ahead, but in theory, if you're to become champion, obviously if the UFC come calling, great, but if not, you're going to be an active champion and defend the belt.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, so looking ahead to the matchup, so we haven't really talked about Kyle a whole lot. What do you see in Kyle as an opponent? Obviously, he's coming in here on an 8-fight win streak. Comes from AKA, as you mentioned. How do you see it playing out stylistically?
So his style is like stand-up's like broadly correct. It's not the most dangerous in the world, but he has the correct stance. He has the correct hand position. You know, it's all correct. His wrestling is his main thing. He's struggled to really convert the takedowns and get the damage off that AKA should be known for in his recent fights. Like, he's managed to hold on to back body locks. He's managed to hold on to certain positions, but not really like damage and harm people off him. You know, I'm ready for a really good grinding pace. But however good your cardio is, you can't cardio through getting damaged. So it's all about finding that space to damage him.
Do you feel like you're the more dangerous fighter?
Definitely. It's like, look at our past fights. If he, you know, like I was saying there, if he gets a side control on someone, he's going to hunker down, squeeze up, and try and take the round. If I get a side control on someone, if there's not a finishing opportunity, I'm letting it go, because I want to open up that space to cause damage.
And, you know, we've talked about kind of the wrestling. Does it excite you to test your wrestling against his?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think sometimes I can overblow how good they are at wrestling in America sometimes. You know, I've been wrestling with Afghanis, Abdul Muhammad, the original slam man, doing slams and flying stomps before Khabib was. So I'm really excited to test this. I love wrestling.
And if you were to give a prediction for the fight, obviously, you know, 3 second-round finishes in a row now. Is it going to be another second-round finish, or what do you reckon?
See, that's been the good formula recently. A bit of Pat Benatar, left hooks and guillotines, and then get the finish, go home, have a palmo. I would like to see the championship rounds just out of interest. I've never been there before. You always want to know the unknown. That being said, I'm coming for the finish. Whether it's first, second, third, I feel like 4th round could be a good shout. A 4th round finish as the damage accumulates, chipping them away bit by bit. Like, that would probably be my final prediction if I was forced to give one a 4th round. But I'm just hunting for the finish.
Well, George, I really appreciate the time. Best of luck next week. So Friday, 22nd of July, live on UFC Fight Pass, the main event of Cage Warriors 141, George Hardwick versus Kyle Driscoll for the vacant Cage Warriors lightweight championship. A long time coming for you, I think. So I'll cross all my fingers and toes and knock on wood that this fight will go ahead. We will see a new champion crowned, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So thanks again for the time today, George, and best of luck next week.
Thank you. I'm going to go see, I think Harry's got a Parmo, so I'm going to see
if a Parmo pre-fight.
I'm going to see if there's one tiny bit going spare just to get the flavor of it, to get the motivation.
Yeah.
Just actually, to get that bite.
Last question. Who's a better cook between you and Harry?
Oh, Harry. Harry's a way better cook. All I do is big fucking bean salads when I'm making food for myself and fish and that. Harry's like, he spent so many hours watching Binging with Babish and J. Kenzie Lopez alt on YouTube. He talks about his fat rendering strategies for when he makes bacon and eggy bread. Harry's a miles better cook. Harry,
what's a fat rendering strategy?
It's like, it's like when you
just
put
as
bacon
greasy
in a
as
pan,
possible.
Yeah, when you put bacon in a pan, it's like the grease comes off. And I think that's called like the fat rendering or something. And then you can use the rendered fat for other stuff in the same meal. And he does this brioche, eggy bread, French toast stuff with the bacon, and sometimes he does like a Biscoff one. He makes food like people actually want to eat. I'm good at just chopping vegetables. I've got good knife skills chopping vegetables, and I can make big ass salads that I really like, but I don't think anyone else would.
Yeah, same, but different. Very different. Right. Well, George, thanks again, and we'll chat to you again soon.
Thank you very much.